I'm a serious guy, what can I say? You don't get as serious as blasting your face with ink.
I used to mock depression and I used to mock anxiety. When people would tell me like, it would be fakely empathetic and go, oh man, but in my head I was going, just be happy, bro. Just be happy, until I got it.
If you simply go and say, let go and let God, I think it creates a lazy breed of man, to be honest. I don't think we adequately address mental health issues by simply saying, go to a church group.
So you think if you really close your eyes and you really pray hard, that's faith? I said, yeah, maybe that is, to be honest, because that's magic, that's Harry Potter.
There's two types of Christians, and I'm going to step on a lot of toes while I'm saying this.
Please do.
But let's smash it, man.
So disclaimer, this guy does drink pink drinks with daiquiris.
Would you mind removing your shoes?
You're listening to the Baascast. Yeah, it is better than it sounds.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Baascast. I am Baas de Beer. These are my guests, and you know, it's not often that I feel outweighed, outclassed, and undersized in my own podcast, but today that is happening because my guests happen to be hugely nice people with some muscles and stuff involved. I present to you Simon Phillips and Jované, whose surname I forgot. What's your surname?
How's man? My surname is Scholtz, but I think you can rather call me AK.
AK, I can remember that. It's fewer letters, bro. It works. Well, cheers and welcome to the Baascast.
Thanks for having us, man. Bye.
You need the microphone when you speak, just reminding you.
No, so, hello guys. So cool to be here. So the thing with Jované, when I first met him, I thought he had a hectic...
Wait. I need to match your style.
Pausing, bro.
There we go. If you're watching the video, you will understand what just happened.
Channel your medicated sunglasses.
Great. There we go. Now let's try that again.
Blind and bald without it.
Now I'm cool
blind,
too.
bald, and bearded, bro, and slightly buff. But no, man. So when I first met Jované, I thought he had like Italian roots, and I used to write it Giovanni's Pizza. And then we saw, no, bro, this is full of Lotus Park, bro. This is Jované. Jovaen. And a little thing on the end. But his name is AK. He's got an AK-47 on his face. So it's always an easy, and I'm a good picture book reader. So you can't forget that name. And yeah, I'm just so cool to be here with Baas de Beer. Yeah. We go back a long way, man, brother.
Jeez, dude. It feels awkward asking you to introduce yourself and just say a couple of things about yourself because I know, and you know that I know, but I mean, the people listening don't yet know. So Jované, now you got me on the pizza guy. Come on. Jované. We are going to talk to you in half a second. I just quickly want to ask, Simon, give us the briefs. Who are you? What do you do? And why should people care?
I don't think they should care. I think they should listen. I've always loved stories. I'm a storyteller. Was dying to study journalism my whole life, which is telling stories. Didn't have the marks to get into varsity, so I went to the Technicon, came from Zim, ran across the border, and studied sports science, Chris, because it didn't require as many marks to get in coming from Zim. Little did I know that sports science requires mathematics. Didn't get that. I thought we'd be kicking up and unders all day and doing some slip catches. First day they're like, stats 1. And that's actually where it still is pausing for me, is stats 1. Never left that. So yeah, man, but I'm a storyteller who made a bench press and met an Afrikaans girl, and the rest is history, man.
So, I mean, actively telling stories, you're a motivational speaker, you're a counselor, you're a personal trainer. What would you introduce yourself as if someone says, okay, so what do you do?
One of my mates here at King Price, Marnu, he always put it like, Simon, you're a hope merchant. Everyone sells something. Some guys sell building plans. Some guys sell gym programs or cars. And I've always struggled because, and I always say to people say, you're figuring out your life at 30, at 35. I'm still really figuring it out. I don't have a title, but I know that I bring hope into a room. And the only reason I do that, and for years I didn't think I did, until I started owning my past. We want to hear Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Phil say, reach this level of hope, because when you get here, when you earn this, when you marry the right chick, when you move into a 5-bedroom house, there's hope. But for all the little rats, who are all of us, hope is just a state of mind, man. And it takes someone to say, I am here daily. I still struggle. I've struggled with, I had a hectic drug past, like Jované. And then I left that life, and I thought I'd had it made, and then I struggled with depression. And for me, depression and anxiety amongst men in this city, Pretoria, in the world that we operate in, is way more prevalent than crystal meth and coke, because it has a gray name. It doesn't have a huge scary persona, but man, I see it daily. From millionaires to paupers, it's a real drug. So I battled the carnal, and I've battled the emotional, man.
And now, because of your battles, you stand in a position where your hustles get you to help those that's going
it.
through.
Just say, hey, who struggles with this? Hands go up. But unless someone owns it, I don't know if you've ever sat in a meeting and a motivational speech or a church or anything, and as soon as the speaker, the dominee or the headmaster says, once upon a time, and he tells a story from his life, 3 years ago we were in Newcastle on my honeymoon. The whole congregation, audience, heads lift. They're all dozing in the first 10 minutes of the church service or the school assembly. As soon as someone on the dais in the front says, once upon a time, those are the magic words in life, once upon a time. We're enchanted as kids with it. It does not, and as adults with Netflix, but then real life, tell me once upon a time, but here's the struggle, but there's hope. But let hope arise.
But exactly, a good narrator of a storyline will always have a more direct impact on a person's life because, I mean, as you said, we've been ingrained with it since we were children. You watch a movie, you want a story, you want a conclusion, and by default, everyone wants a happy ending.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe a good skill in communication is to prove that, hey guys, there's a happy ending to the story. Now, let me tell you how it got to that, and this is how you can too. And the difference between a motivational speaker and a normal narrator is that just that little twist to say, you know what, this is how this can come to you. And that's why my favorite aspect of Jesus was the parabolization of stories, you know, or parabolization of motivation of what's the word that I'm looking for?
Well, yeah, but parables,
principles.
Yeah, it's a story.
Instead of saying this, thou shalt do this and that, it was a story made relevant. Now we'll get to stories in a second, but first, Jované, AK. I'm going to get to you now because AK, there's too many AKs. Now, listen, let me just off the bat say that I promised you before we started this podcast that I'm going to say something to you and I need to see your real reaction to this. I met you this morning for the first time, right? I did obviously went to the Google machine when Simon said, well, he's bringing the muscle to the podcast. And if you're only listening to this podcast, just do yourself a favor, just flick over to the video quickly and see what we're dealing with. Can you give us a quick flex? Just there's a muscle involved the size of my fucking upper leg. Sorry. Now, when I did my research and I went to see the photos and I sent to a friend of mine, listen, this is who I'm interviewing tomorrow. The first response was, geez, when did you start interviewing fuckboys? And because I showed an old photo of you, you know, and you look so different in your photos now than you did about 5-6 years ago. And the transformation is great, but I need the story behind it. So can you tell us, who are you and, you know, why did Simon bring you along here?
Okay. My name is Jované. I'm better known as AK. Who am I? I am someone that tells the truth. I'm a God-fearing family man. I don't speak as much hope as Simon. I like to try to, but I speak the truth. I'm not someone that likes to listen to your problems. I'm someone that likes to tell you how to fix them. I'm someone that enjoys routine. I'm someone that chases peace. I'm someone that follows God in everything, especially the last 5-6 years of my life. I'm the proudest dad under the sun to my son Dax. I'm the proudest partner to my partner Nikita. I'm a proud business partner to my partner Simon, and Timon's sitting back home when he's in his apartment. I'm going to give you a little bit of a story. I know you mentioned fuckboy, and I'll give you an explanation towards that. You know, for a long time in my life, before I met God, I was the type of guy that any sort of trauma that I went through or underwent, or whatever you want to call it, I was the type of guy that would store it in a place deep inside my brain with the hopes of it. By the time that thought pops up again, it doesn't really matter as much. You know, like we all know time heals. Your heart might be sore after the breakup today, but in a week's time, you're able to delete those pictures. And I've been that guy my whole life. The problem is that stuff catches up to you. If you don't deal with things. That's why my biggest focus in life now is speaking the truth, taking things head on, following Jesus, striving to be like Jesus, because that's easier, man. It's more peaceful. You know what? I'd like to finish off by saying I'm an intense person. What happens is if you're intense, intensity creates a lot of peace at night. Man, I love sleeping. And for a long time in my life, I wasn't able to sleep because of stuff I've done, things I've gotten into. And that's my life now, man. I just want to spend my life with my family, with my son, with my best friend, at home, watching rugby and being peaceful.
I must say it is tremendous again to see the change. And I mean, the change that you speak of obviously is not always internal. I believe that if there's an internal change that happens in your heart, whether you found God or whether you found purpose or whether you found something in life to hold on to, if there's positivity coming into your existence, it will start showing in your physical.
100%.
And I want to read you something that same friend that sent me the WhatsApp when I said, you know what, this is who I'm interviewing. I later on sent an image when I got to your Instagrams to say that, listen, this is the actual guy that I'm interviewing. I sent my mate this photo. Now, my friend, you know what, he says things as they are. He doesn't, beat around the bush. And the photo that I showed them was this little one. Let me show you.
Oh, yeah.
It is the one
ice cream.
with, let me check if I can show it to a camera there. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, it's a lovely photo of you with what I assume to be your kid.
Yeah.
Eating
Thanks.
ice cream, biggest smile in the world. And if you compare that photo to the one that you saw 5 years before that of you, in newspapers and
The
shit.
mugshot.
The mugshots, you posing like, honestly, you look like a bit of a wanker, mate. Posing like you want to be something. And versus now, seeing a photo of an accomplished dad with peace and joy in his face, my friend replied, fuck man, that's great to see. As mense so kan change voor bad ways sal lewe ryk. Altyd bly om sulke stories te kan sien. And I mean, I suppose that is the one purpose of sharing a story like yours, is to see the motivation that it can bring people of change. Now, so while you've got the mic, tell me quickly, what was the change that came about? Like, I mean, I know because I did the Google, you went to prison, you spent your time for the crime, all those things. Just give us a brief nutshell of that. I really don't want to stand still on that for too long, though.
I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, man. There's an old saying that I live by. And I'm not going to take all the credit by myself. The wonderful thing about God is, where I sit now, I can't tell you what I did. I made the change up here, and he did the rest for me. If you want to, you will, at the end of the day. You can tell me otherwise, I will prove you wrong. There's an old saying I go by that says, if you focus on the small things, the big things will sort itself out. And it's very true, man. If you, like you mentioned now about the small white lies, if you stop with that, your big lies will stop by itself. If you focus on giving your wife a kiss before you leave every single day, I promise you your sex is going to be better at the end of the day. If you focus on the small time, the ball playing with your son, I promise you that's the stuff he remembers, man. Like my best friend always told me, boring is beautiful. Taking it back to prison, I just want to brush over it quickly, man. That whole phase in my life feels very blurry. A main reason for that is obviously when you're on crystal, you don't sleep for a few days, which means that everything's kind of flashes. But I do remember, unfortunately, how every human being works is you remember the bad times. You don't really remember the good times, which I'm thankful for. I didn't change myself, man. I didn't do any changes, and that's my honest answer to you. I didn't change. God changed me. I figured out that God wanted me before I even wanted him. And he did it for me, man, for the best of me, because he knew my son was coming before I even knew. And imagine me, I had to still be on that road when my son was here, man. I would have been the worst dad ever. But God made that change for me so I can be the best dad under the sun. And I wouldn't have met this guy. Imagine this guy. He can be an awesome guy, but imagine he sits here with a crystal call. Imagine I'm talking over all of you here. You ask me one question 4 hours later.
Well, look, in that sense, that is where pastors and crystal heads are the same thing. You ask them a question, they never shut up.
Yeah, you see. No, man, but I've, something I told you, and I just want to mention it on the camera as well. When you talk about prison, a lot of people refer to a criminal. Man, I've never been a criminal in my life. If you want to go read on Google, I was a debt collector and now I'm a dad. For me, when you mention stuff like prison, people think that you stole a weed eater or a phone or a laptop, man, or you didn't pay your bill. That's not what I was, man. I worked for my money. I was money driven, but in the wrong way. I didn't have a foundation of Christ.
So would you say that the big change now would be that what you're instilling in your kid's life now will give him how many kids do you have?
Only one.
And it's the boy, right?
Yes.
Would you say that what you have gone through would give your boy a better foundation to not have to go through the path that you followed to get where you are now?
100%, man, and I'll give you a short answer on that. The main reason why I started going to church was because in my heart, I craved for my son to be brought up with Christian morals and values until I fell in love with Jesus. Now I can't stop going. Now I need that Sunday reset, otherwise my week is gemors. Okay? I know for a fact, my son, I'm a strong man, and I promise you now, no one can get me under. But I've made my match with that son of mine.
That is awesome.
The chances are very well that he is going to follow me, but you know what the benefit is? I've been there and I can call him out 10 steps ahead.
I like that. Now,
You see
here's the
that?
thing for both of you to ponder on quickly.
it, man.
Is the idea that, I mean, speaking of the church and stuff, I'm kind of like the reverse of you. I was super overly churched. Now you won't get me putting my foot in a church again. But I still love the idea of the values, the principles, and that what you find biblically, you know, what in a modern society can stand for. Something like, you know, love, acceptance, forgiveness, compassion, empathy, all those values, self-confidence. Loving yourself enough to not end up with a freaking drug habit. All those things are things that I think people, as the church would put it, in the world, tend to disregard because of the perception they've got of what it means to be a church-going Christian, for instance. And in my mind, half the Christians are as bad as half the extremist Muslims and Jews and everyone causing cuck in the world at this point, because, you know, people use religion as a moral justification for bad morals. Then you take a look at what it really means to be someone that lives a principle-based lifestyle. It's got nothing to do with starting a war for your religion. It's got to do about not being a dick. And I think, you know, taking a look at Simon's life, for instance, he is the emblem of someone that lives the life of not being a dick and just doing nice things. And not always being that preachy. I mean, don't get me wrong, Simon can be preachy as hell, but he's still a good oak. And I mean, where do you guys draw the line then? I mean, obviously you're very outspoken about the religious angles, but do you have a line that you would say, listen here, in this circumstances, I'm just going to do my thing without preaching? Or
Oh, such a cool question, Sea-Dog. There's a lot of people, Christians use this phrase, preach the word of God, and if necessary, use words.
St. Francis of Assisi, if I'm not mistaken.
Check that. So, and I like that in the sense of, hey, I'm not going to go to a fat personal trainer. Like, show me. I'm not going to go to a doctor who's got a hoose the whole time I meet him, or a financial advisor who's driving a jalopy. Like, even the fact that you've got a Benz, and I'll like, give me your money, but I can't do it for myself. So what you see in someone, you spend time with and you pursue. So if I see someone and I go, listen, man, there's some things changed in your life. Whether he drops 15 F-bombs, I'm not judging him on his speech. Yes, there's parts of us that can get refined, and over time, as we get made in the image of God. What is that in the image of God? Is that someone who swears in private, but in public we are being fake? Or is it someone whose life, and show me your time, and when I spend time with people, I'll see what you've become. And dude, like there's a thing I often say, like fellowship up with Federer. If Jované plays tennis against Dex, he will win 6-love every time. But by the end of that game, I promise you he'll be playing a few lazy drop shots. He'll half lunge for a ball because he knows he's winning. If he plays Roger Federer, he'll get smashed 6-love. But his second serve will be so sharp because he has to react. It won't be those funny boop, little nonsense things. He'll come out a better player. So when you fellowship up with people better than you, and I think that's what church, and to wrap up your question, what it represents. It's not an arrogant thing. And the world thinks, it's arrogant people who thinks their shit doesn't stink. Not at all. They're just saying, I suck, but I need a doctor. And if I spend time with people, and it doesn't have to always be in a religious thing, a relationship thing. When we got married, I searched out for people. Shout out to Jamon. And I like the way he treats his wife. We want to have dinner with you, but lots. I want to see how you hold your wife by the small of her back, but I don't do that. How do you do this? And I went for counseling with this one guy pre-marriage, and he said, yeah, let's go for the next 4 Tuesdays, rock up my house, and we'll do it. And I was expecting a whiteboard, a PowerPoint, and a Bible. First Tuesday came and went. We just made supper for his kids. Second, third, fourth. And by the 4th Tuesday, he said, hey, you're getting married next week. We're done. And I said, hey, but I haven't got my 15 points and my this and that and my safe sex book and whatever. And he's like, no. Remember the first weekend? Yeah, we looked after the boys. Yeah, my wife was grievously ill. The second weekend, we had to work late, but we did this. We helped the neighbor with that. Said, that's marriage, Simon. I can tell you and give you pointers, but in the heat of an argument with your wife, you're not going to go, what did Jay say? Point number 4. I'm sorry, babes, notes. But I've been doing this every day. I've got a new, like Peterson says, a new neural pathway forms if you do it habitually. Every single, the Bible says, line upon line, precept upon precept, the city is built.
So what you're saying, if I'm getting you correctly, is first show with your lifestyle until people are willing to ask how you do that.
Exactly.
I mean, to actually just build on what you just said there, for me, one of the best examples of a conscious lifestyle change came from when I moved down to Cape Town. I decided I want to respect women. That sounds worse than it is, because it's not like I grew up not respecting women, but I mean, growing up, it was just not part of our house. I never saw my dad open a car door for my mom. Not that he didn't love her, it just wasn't an action I ever saw.
Sure.
I decided that's how I'm going to be. So you know what I did? I preached as if I am. I literally went over, and when people in conversation, I would say, you know what, I'm a respecter of women. And I couldn't tell people that without showing the action. So I started opening the door, carrying the bags and letting them walk first, even though that was a conscious decision every time for about a year.
Yeah.
Until a year after that, I realized I'm not thinking about that anymore.
Yeah.
And when you make that life change based on something that you want to see change in your existence, you consciously do it until you don't have to think about it anymore. You don't have the crypt notes. You don't have the quick podcast to go and reference, but you do that in your own time. But the lifestyle that you live from that, you know, is the only way that you can see change like this.
So true, man.
You know, something I just want to mention about us here is in that question, you mentioned religion a lot. And I'm speaking for both of us when I say that, man, there's a massive difference. I don't think we are religious at all. I think we've got a relationship with God. There's a very fine line for me in between. I'll give you a quick example, man. My son messes up at school. He gets into trouble. I don't want him to think, you know, I don't want my dad to find out. I want him to call me. And that's the exact life that we live for God, man. That's why we don't hide anything. So I don't think we are religious at all. And that's why it's easy to draw the line in between preaching and giving advice. We just live with a relationship to God. That's why it's an open book, man. That's why there's no guilt. And that comes back to peace at night. We sleep tight.
Yeah. But you know what, Joe, it's so cool what he's saying. And I think Chris will handle your question well. And you know, people in a church setting, they love this. And there's a series called I Am Second. The guy from, I'll tell you, not Nirvana, he met Jesus, he's a drummer, long hair. Anyways, he speaks about how he met the Lord. And the Christian movement loved that. They're like, it's an ex-thug. You know, we want to put but in all honesty, man, if we sat here with a guy who got 15 A's from matric and he's a CA and he's never watched porn in his life and doesn't have a tattoo and wears lovely cologne all day, like, you'll say, follow Christ. What has he done for you? Well, look at your life, bro. You have no idea about temptation. You've never even been up the road to a dodgy drug den. You don't know about what that life is like. You don't know the struggles and the stress of coming from a poverty background. You know nothing. So the Christian movement loves, we love a guy like this. But here's the juxtaposition is we can go big with the story. We can monetize this. We can say, thug life, and do a tour of all the churches and say, wow. And people like this. It represents hope and life. Every school, come and tell the story. Come. But we're not here to scare people into religion. People want that. Tell my lighty not to take drugs. Tell. Look at him. Tell him about the first night in prison. Tell him. Make Afi's quiver. Dude, he's not here to do that. It's a cool story. If you want to ask, I love these stories where I'm like, tell me about prison. As mates will tell you. But my ending topic is, I must be not running away from fear, running to hope. Like, but you know what I mean?
Let's have this discussion then, because I mean, there's two things you guys both mentioned now that I really want to stand still on, and it's because it's two of especially one thing is one of the most overplayed little rhymes that people say, and it's become when you say that it's not religion, it's relationship. That is the tagline that freaking everyone says when they start their testimony. And I can guarantee you that has become a religion in itself. And just the thoughts on that. And then jumping to what you said, Simon, was the idea that, sure, that guy with the perfect matric scores, going into the predictable life with a white picket fence, 1.5 cars, 2.5 kids, and a pet with medical insurance. Who knows? Maybe that guy just dealt better with temptation in his existence than you have. I still think there's value in learning from people without judging them on who they are. The same level of approach that I would have to a fuckboy, using the quotes now, with facial tattoos, but having to get to learn to know him first. I think that applies to the guy with a tie. The only difference for me is I probably find the guy with a tie a lot more boring. Just personal perspective.
Yeah.
I'll give you a quick answer on that, man. The difference for me, or the difference I can tell you between someone that has gone through life and the perfect straight A student is, what do you relate to? When you go and you ask him, listen, dude, I've been struggling with cat, crystal, meth, coke, heroin, dude. I can't stop shooting in my arm. He's your friend, he's your brother. What advice is he going to give you? Is he going to tell you how to study for math? Or how to do business nuotas?
Yeah, you can't study for math if you want to get rid of meth.
Math and meth, dude, it's not the same thing. And I think that's the big difference, man. I'm gonna bring it down to this. And this is, I want to give you an answer on the whole religion relationship thing. There's two types of Christians, and I'm going to step on a lot of toes while I'm saying this.
Please do.
But let's smash it, man. There's two types of Christians, and I'm going to probably step on Simon's toes because he's a bit older. The one half of the Christians, I'd say, let's call it 35 and above. And the other half of the Christians is 35 and under, which I'm part of. I'm striving to be part of. The 35 and above, mostly Afrikaans Christians as well, sorry in advance, they use the Bible as a tool of what not to do and what to do. Man, your life is going to be super boring. You're not perfect and you're not Jesus, okay? The way I'm using the Bible, and if I had my Bible open here now, I would open it and I would show you what's highlighted. Most of the stuff that's highlighted is in Openbare, Genesis. All of them are motivational quotes, stuff I can apply to my life in order to get better, man. I'm addicted to growth. And when I say that, I'm not addicted to my growth only. I'm addicted to the growth of my brother as well. I want to see him get better. And I promise you this, I might look like a fuckboy, but you don't want me to knock on your door when you mess up. That's the way I live my life, man. I don't use the Bible to say I can't swear, I can't go pee twice during the day, I can't poo, I can't smoke cigarettes, man, I can't drink coke, I can't eat biltong. That's not the way I want to live my life, and that's not the example I want to give my son, man. I want to show him how to be the best person he can be. Make your mistakes. I'm not going to say, sorry, Buddha. I'm going to show you how to fix them. And that's why I walked the path that I did.
I like that, especially since, you know what, one thing that I have noticed is that the biggest deterrent to God and the concept of God and faith are the Christians walking about saying shit like, thou shalt not, and dit is wat jy nie moet doen nie, you're not allowed to do that. And they usually pull something from Deuteronomy out of their asses. And it's like they don't even read that bit in the Bible that says that Jesus came to fulfill the law and say, you know, it's screw all the rules, just love one another. And as long as you can measure what you do in love, you're doing good. I mean, obviously you can get pedantic about a few things, but I think the biggest enemy of God is basically the way that Christians portray him. And to me, that got to a point where I didn't want to have anything to do with the religious aspect of it. For me, and I would love to actually hear your thoughts on this, Simon, because we've been edging on having a conversation like this for ages, is, you know what, the real tangible evidence of life change does not sit for me in reading a book, going to a clubhouse meeting or whatever you call your Sunday gatherings, the cell group that became a little bit of a cult in itself. It is, can I see a change in how you treat your wife? Can I see a change in how you do your business? And do you still do the tax man in when they ask you for things? The biggest proof of there being a God to me is the fact that I cannot exclude that as something, the Bible tells me about it. I don't believe in that God. I see God as being way bigger than that. In fact, maybe derailing from my own point a bit, but hearing the thoughts on this as well was the church got to a point where it said, there's this God. He's really big and mighty. In fact, he's so big and mighty, you cannot explain him. He's inexplicably huge, massive. Let me put him in a box and explain him to you, and you must worship him like I put him to you, because this is it. And I'm just thinking, that is so freaking arrogant to say that you understand God. And I think that is what has put the world of God, because the portrayal of God, the boxing of God, has become something laughable. Whereas we should be open, even Christians should be open to acknowledge that God might be something we don't get. Maybe He is the big spirit in the sky, maybe it is the force of nature, maybe it is creation itself manifesting as small intrinsic miracles. Maybe it's a kid playing a computer game and we are all sinners. I don't know. And the most difficult thing for a Christian to say is, I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know. And I think that's always that people always love to look at those debates on YouTube and stuff, and like, Christian, answer the question. Number one being, why do kids get cancer? And number two, like, where is God if I can't see Him? And the same old answers get trotted out. If I can't see the wind, but I can see the effects of the wind. A kid gets cancer. Why? Because it's a fallen world and it's free will. And if you have free will, there's got to be, we want to have the fun part of free will. You have free will to make $1 million rand, but I also have free will to stab you. So there, you can't call him out and say, hey, hallelujah, it's all cool, my free will. But then there are going to be consequences to my wife who said yes at the aisle. But if I stuff her around, there are consequences. And God's like, hands off, bro. This is your choice. So, Chrissy, I think for me, the way that I see the Lord, and I've been through, like, you know, man, we got the same upbringing. We know, before I had my massive backslide a few years ago, Jesus.com, youth camps, I know every worship song. I know it, man. There's nothing you can't tell me. But the thing is, it became so my parents' faith, my youth pastor's faith, it just became Coke Light to me, man. Until I had to go through rack and ruin and go, whoa, I need this. I spoke to a guy the other day, big-headed, one of our big banks about a year ago. He couldn't stand what I ever said. He liked what I said to his staff. He never wanted to hear it himself. He'd listen to my talks, and I wasn't preaching. I'm just telling him my real life. And he'd always be in the back of the hall, big bank in Joburg, and he'd be typing away and like glancing up now and again. And I always thought, yes, this guy's hearing nothing, man. And a few months later, I got a call from his wife and said, please come visit him. He's in Little Mary. He's dying. So I'm I rock up there and I go through the hall, and he's in cardio, heart section. And I find him and I see this guy who was always arrogant, smelled of cologne and with suit and tie on and this huge Rolex watch and behind a desk. And now it's this fat belly in an adult diaper with Agnes changing it for him. And I said to him, hey man, what's up, dude? And it was flesh behind his eyes. And he said, son, you died 3 days later. And he said, you always told me about God. It's like, and Jesus, like, tell me again. Just now tell me again. Because then there's nothing. And the last thing he said to me is this, it's powerful, man. He said, there's no such thing as a Rolex in the ICU. He said, bro, right now I'm not checking my payments on my yacht in Hermanus. I don't care about whose 40th I'm missing. Nedbank can come reclaim my car. I don't care, bro. Take it. Like, all those small things have gone. And he said, all I care about, I'm like, what do you care? I said, 2 things. And that's where Oprah Winfrey always said the fallacy. He said, in the world, you'll always have love and family. That's with everything fades. And I'd always go working with orphans. I'd be like, and the ones who don't have family, and what do they do then, Oprah? And this guy says the same thing. He said, all I want right now is like, I want a loved one to pop around the head around the window. And I said, but what if your wifey, almost said her name, sorry, if she doesn't pop her head around the door and you die in the next 2 minutes? He's like, then there's one other face I'd like to know. Because that's where we are. And he's like, there's no Rolex, and I want 2 things. I want a loved one to say cheers, and if that doesn't happen, I've got the maid changing my nappy, and I've got someone in my heart going, come home. And I think that just sort of boiled all the semantics down for me, and that's how I try to live my life. Now it's that thing of like, we can debate, and I even got to a place where, you know, like, it's Christian versus atheist versus this, and we can watch these guys on college campuses and young Americans, Charlie Kirk, and it's all deep, it's theatrical stuff, which is good, and it's intellect. Oh, take that, creationists, take that, evolutionists, 1-0. But dude, at 2 in the morning when I'm boxing my wife, or if I have a car crash now, and I leave here and my car gets T-burned there, the last thing I'm going to say is, please refer to Shapiro's episode 5. As you watch the blood ebb from my body, you'll say, "Si, where's your heart?" And next week when you come to our funeral, Hester will come and say, hey, Christo de Jované, you were with Si in Moonshot Café. What was the last thing he said? Did he speak life? Did he speak hope? Did he speak our decks? Where did it come from? Jované just went harping on about the Father of God. Oh, that's so if I'm not starting my day with that, and like I said in my little New Year's thing, have a happy New Year. Happy New Year, bro. December, it changes so much. It's a happy new day. This is all we have. And it sounds so corny. when it's not a Saturday night and a 40th birthday and pumping and emotional, or a Sunday when it's also goosebumps of Hillsong. Hey, be careful of the emotional drift. Everyone's faithful on a Sunday night, sharing Angus Buchan and there's a bit of Bethel. Talk to me on Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock, when there's no more people, myself included, man. I know this guy's fears. Give us mid-morning when people are not calling us and checking our Facebook and stuff, and we're not needed. I'll tell you, my depression is there. That's my anxiety.
So what you're saying is kind of like, for you, it's more about keeping it real in the face of everyday things and
That's
leaving
it.
a personal legacy of positivity than it is to preach the conclusivity of knowing what God is.
That's it. So there's a guy, a famous preacher called Kanye West, said he had a song, and he says Jesus walked. And I always heard this thing, and the guy said, hey, just read the lyrics. And he just talked about, he said, Jesus, it's not a movement, it's a person. And Jesus walked, and he was there on a bad day with Joseph, his dad, doing what his hand had been called to do. He did a physical graft, bro. He was a sound man, he was a technician, he was a waiter. But in that doing, he would see Martha, he'd see Peter walking past, he'd see the tax man, he'd see Christo or Jované with an injection in his arm. And you go, Dad, Joseph, I'll be back now. I got to go do something. And you'd walk with us, as opposed to go on Sunday going, you filthy sin, I'll see you next Sunday. And we're going to say, Handra Bashandra, read 23rd Psalm, and you're never going to have sexual sin with your chick again. You'll feel guilty. See you on Sunday. He was like, in that, I'm going to walk with you, bro.
So, and I mean, this I kind of want to direct to AK to my left here is the idea that, I mean, having made a massive life change and obviously swinging around from a lot of negativity and being surrounded by negative influences and living out some negativities in your existence, pumping your veins full of bad shit, right? Do you think that you could have made this life change that you have had simply by saying, you know what, I want to move to a more positive mindset, positive play without involving God? For the simple reason I will say this, I know a bunch of great principle-based people that are living a life of positivity, good influence, and generally speaking, not being assholes, but they are full-blown atheists.
No. Like I mentioned earlier, man, I don't know what changed me. I don't know. I didn't do it myself. I think I wanted to, but I didn't know how to. Sometimes in life you feel like you've messed up so badly that you don't know where to start to fix it. And I think that's where I was. I mentioned to you earlier, man, I went to prison when I was 19. Most kids at 19 are taking a gap year.
True. You kind of did.
Yeah, well, a few gap years, man. But it's easy to laugh about now, man. But it was some dark times. I dealt with very dangerous people on a daily basis, dude. I couldn't even make my own choices. Now I had to make choices for people under me. That was tough, man. And that's why I'm saying I didn't change. God changed me. If I wanted to change, I probably would have changed before I got into prison, man. But I couldn't. Only when I took the step of obedience towards God, He was able to change me for the better. Look where I'm sitting now, man. I've got an awesome sponsorship. We both do Vaughanfield, man. That was something I wished for my whole life. I've got a wonderful son. I've got the biggest arsenal, literally and physically, man, that I could ever speak about. I'm sitting on a podcast here today, 2020-24, with Chris Baascast, man. I'm highly favored, man. I'm blessed and I'm so grateful. And I didn't do that. You know, just as good as me, man. You didn't message me or I didn't message you. God put me in His life so you could message Him, so I could be here today and talk to you about God, man, and spread the word of what He has done for me. It would have been ignorant of me not to believe in God or what He has done for me if He didn't do what He did for me.
Now, I reckon, I mean, obviously, I would want to add to that to say that there has to be a positive decision, a commitment to a lifestyle, a change that you have to bring in your existence to say, listen, I'm going to change my mindset, and whether it is to the guidelines of what I read in the Bible or being taught by my mentors or so, but you have to stick to some sort of a positive mindset change, right?
No, I'll take you back to that, man. So most of the time that I spent in prison was during lockdown, okay? And the rules are that during lockdown, you only get bait a yard once a month, okay? Besides, man, you know what I'm telling you now. Bait a yard is when you're allowed out of your cell for an hour, once a month.
Once a month, and people bitched about lockdown.
Once a month for an hour, okay? That's bait a yard. That's what you're allowed to during lockdown. Apart from that, a packet of sharp cigarettes, you know those cheapies costing 250 Rand.
Damn.
Okay? we were allowed 1 hour out once a month. Now, you also know what the South African prison systems are like. There's beds for 20, but there's 60 plus in a cell. Okay, so you fight for your bed if you can't pay for it. I saw a little bit of a gap in the system. There was something called cell group in prison, right? So I saw, hey, but there's something not fair happening here. The cell group, the time isn't limited. It's once a week, and there's a speaker that works. That works.
Oh, like a musical speaker.
Yeah, like that you can play music on. You know what I'm saying? So I took the gap. I won't lie. It was a very selfish step of me. But look what it led to.
I just have to point out that I find it slightly mildly hilarious that they have a cell group in prison. I mean, it's cell group.
Okay. No, but that's how it all started.
Okay, so you basically went for ulterior motives to have some music in your life and
then
get
I fell
out of
in
the
love
cell.
with Jesus, man. I was have you ever felt what it feels like to wake up with tears and to go sleep with the same tears? Tears of being scared. And not that you're going to lose your bank balance for your life. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. That's where I was.
Yeah. I can personally say that I've never been in that situation, but I can imagine.
So it's not a secret that the people in prison aren't very literate. Never mind, that's not the type of people that you want to build an emotional connection with. Because like Simon said, man, what you spend time with is who you smell of. It's who you become. I didn't want to stay there, okay? Just a little bit of a backstory. My bail got remanded, not denied. My bail got remanded 15 times. I only got bail on the 16th time. And I just want to tell you another thing. You know how it works in high court. You don't go once a month. You go in their space, okay? So you can do the math, man. There's a lot of emotions that goes up and down. Plus, coming off a crystal addiction, man, you start talking to your shoelaces. You know exactly what it's not fun. It's not fun. Getting fed karapau.
I have no idea what you just said,
Man,
but I assume the words make sense.
So in Kozimampuru, they do their harvesting inside, right? So the veggies, the fish, the meat, everything comes from inside. They don't buy it. So
That's
it's all
the prisoner.
Yeah, inside the prison ground. So the bandita, you also get paid there for work. So some people are mechanics, some people work in the kitchen, some people are the farmers, so that's how it's like a cycle that works there. So karapau, man, think of how can I let you picture this taste? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the gym for 10, let's call it 10 weeks, right? I'm not gonna wash my underwear. Plus, I'm going to wipe my bum with my underwear. I'm going to let you taste. That's what the fish tasted like. You're not in a good space there, man. I was at a point where I couldn't speak to anyone. I was so scared to vocally speak what I did. Because remember, my guilt didn't come from... And that's why I struggled to speak to psychiatrists as well afterwards. My guilt didn't come from what people did to me, which you would normally go speak to a psychiatrist about. My guilt was what I did to people. So you can tell me what psychiatrist you are, but I want to sit in front of you. And when you are in that position, you pick up on this stuff. When I tell you something and I see a slight shock in your face, man, I'm put off, man. My trust is broken down. So I could only speak to Jesus, man, because guess what? Jesus never judged me.
That makes sense, but I mean, I need to ask this, and flowing from that into something that I really want to get into, but have you forgiven yourself?
About 2 years ago, yes. And I'll tell you how magical that was, man. I got baptized, and not by choice. I stood there in the middle of winter in a full Louis Vuitton tracksuit, pants and a jacket, and I sat the whole sermon through with, you remember that day? That was the day me and him actually became friends. We didn't, when I started going to church, I'm going to get you an answer now, but I just want to paint you the full picture. I started going to church, man, and it's not a secret that church isn't really a place for face tattoos. Okay, so I sat at the way back, there where the lights don't even shine, there where you have to do this with your ears to hear what the dominee says. Okay, that's where I sat. And Murphy's Law, dude, there was this spotlight that shined on this man and his family. right? I'm talking for 3 months, every single Sunday. I started going to church before my wifey and Dax started going because I wanted to take the first step as the man in the gesin. Man, this spotlight shined on this guy and I was so jealous of him. And jealous is so the wrong word, man. The way he loved his family, that's what I wanted. I envied the way he touched his wife, he touched his kids, man. I could see that sometimes his kids irritated in that, but this fatherly picking them up, and I can't even explain it now, man, but it's a feeling that I still feel. And that's what I'm striving to get to. Hopefully not 3 kids, because that's quite rough, but I'm going to stay with 1. That's what I strive to, man. At the end of the day, if you want to, you will. I wanted to change, but I couldn't. I didn't know how to. I messed up. I felt that I messed up too bad. But you know what? Jesus grabbed me by my ear and said, surprise, boy. I'm going to show you what's in hold of you.
Now, I have to get to this point, and we're drawing sort of to a close with this chat, but I really want to delve a little bit into a male mindset. You know, both of you are stellar examples of, in my mind, what it means to be a man. You know, you've got the beard, you've got the muscles, you've got the looks. Obviously, no one's going to ask you what your pronouns are, basically. But I want to set the scene. In the last few years, specifically the last year, you know, last week, I lost my cousin to suicide. Last year, 2 friends. The year before, 3 more. And by extension, I can name person after person since lockdown started, basically. And, you know, people started taking a little bit more notice of mental health because everyone was forced to sit with their own thoughts for the first time. You might have had some more experience in prison with being forced to sit with your own thoughts for a while. But men seem to have been catching up in the last few years with a focus on mental health, whether it was through an organization such as Movember that spread the good idea of, hey, let's have a month focused on mental health for men as well, not just for women, children, and I use air quotes, weak ones. It was proclaimed loud and proud that it's okay for men to start being weak, to express their fears, to express their lack of motivation to be better sometimes. And to me, for me, the big question is, first and foremost, to the two of you, what would you define as a real man? Because, you know, media is full of it. We get real men don't drink pink drinks. Real men look like He-Man. I mean, you two kind of get it right. But real man respects women. No, a real man tells a woman what it is. No, a real man doesn't listen to anyone. No, a real man gives time for everyone. Everything is conflicted. Now, in your personal perspective, what is a real man?
See, so disclaimer, this guy does drink pink drinks, bro. Daiquiris. That's all. If he doesn't drink, if he does, bro, pink drinks. So, you know what? I think here's the scary thing, and the trap I always fell in. So my biggest drug is a people pleaser. To be all things to all men. And I think that's where, like, the church and movements and stuff, we try to be all things to all people. Whatever you want, okay, we'll be that. And at the end of the day, bro, I can't do that in a court of law. Did you break the law? Yes or no? Here's that, but we want to apply it to our own lives. What is the speed limit? What happens when you die? And when I stop trying to be all things to all people, this won't appeal to Deloitte and Touche. It'll be nice for some people. I won't appeal to other guys. I'm not going to go and have a huge effect on Affy's guys who've got a massive drug problem. And I think that's the great thing, is like, stay in your lane. And so often we want to try and be everything to everyone. I did that my whole life, and it was worse addiction than drugs. It left me tired, empty and dry. I had to be funny, I had to be emotionally sound, I had to be proper, I had to be a good husband. That was the thing that stuffed up my marriage, man, for a while. Is that I came home totally drained, but even I was still this emotional, joyful person, but I was trying to be everything to everyone. And I think it's like, I can't be the opening bowler and the batsman. Like, know your posse, man. If I need a prop, I need a prop. And so for me, dude, the biggest thing is the prize goes to the hungriest. It's a hungry man. You can hear him speak. He's hardcore. But secondly, we meet each other at our point of honesty. We meet each other at a point. When we started seeing Peterson weep on stage, we're like, whoa, it's a clever guy with big words, but he's really just crying. And when you see Rogan, why is he popular? Because he's just flipping real. And the days of, we were talking about it the other day about TV. Like, TV has come and gone. No one watches TV. A 56 screen on a house now is just for show. No kid switches it on. They don't know what any TV shows, but it's in their hand, and everything they watch like this, the waitress coming in, we like that because it's unedited. Talk about a poo and a this and that. People are like, give me real. Oh, real. That's real. And the biggest one is, I struggle, but. And I think the moment we're on a diet, like they said at church the other day, the guy said, the reason I don't speak on the stage is because immediately it makes you go, whoop, and look down at you. I spoke at a very big boys' school last year, and I sat in their big sort of broederbond old boys thing afterwards, and they didn't like what I said. I said, number one, I'm a Soti, a very traditional Afrikaans school. I said, but the biggest thing that's killing is your strength. And what is that, Simon? You're way too polite. We walk in your school, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am. I love that. Yeah, and I said, I do, I like that. I'd rather have that than go to some riff-raff joint where they swear at you. And I said, but what happens when your kids finish matric and now all your boys and your head boy, they're now men. But now you want them to come and be open and real with you, the guys who are working for you, but they're still calling you and they can't tell about their porn addiction. And they can't tell they're about to cut their wrists because it's not Bob, it's And that barrier, especially in Afrikanerdom, has done that. In the church specifically, it's made a stage, has come here, and then, scandal, or you do money. But you put yourself on a flipping stage, bro. But you're never real with me.
But to pull everything that you said now together to a point, how do you define what is a real man?
For me, it's exactly the opposite of what he and myself are. It's a soft, honest man. A soft man for me, man. The more hype, and I'm around stinking masculinity all day, man. Walk into any gym, bro. It's just ballers, bro. And walk into, but it can be muscle there. It can be in a place where we are now. It can be financial flex. They're very clever people walking past you with big bank accounts. Maybe that's another kind of a provider. That's my masculinity. But like I said, at the end of the day, when you're in ICU, there's no Rolex, there's no six pack, there's no one cares about my cool beard, but they care about my honesty. And so for me, a soft man and a humble man, it sounds so corny, humble, but honestly, when people are real, you can spot it. It's like everyone's got a Bluetooth detector it's like the gaydar for assholes.
Yeah.
Like he spoke a big story, but he's a dick.
That is the thing. If you're not believable, as you said earlier in your lifestyle, I'm not going to believe what you tell me. Even if you say a real man is insert blank here,
If you don't exemplify that, I'm not going to believe that.
That's it, man.
What do you think, AK?
I'm gonna take my imaginary paintbrush now. I'm gonna paint Simon out for you. Real man is someone with absolutely zero pride. Drop your pride, man. Where there's pride, there's lies. Like you said, white lies. Why do you want to be prideful, man? Be real. Real man is someone who's consistent. Whatever you are, just be consistent at it. If you are strong, be consistently strong. If you are a loving man, love consistently. A real man is someone that has a purpose. A real man is someone that has a passion. And lastly, I feel a real man is someone that has a love that they pursue. My first love and Simon's first love is Jesus, then our wives, then our kids. And I promise you that every single morning, try and have a bad day when you wake up in a happy household. You can't. Try and have a bad day when you know God is there consistently for you. Man, God has backed us more than we back ourselves. I think sometimes we shoot ourselves short for who we actually are and how other people perceive us. And I call it that we don't have pride. And that's something I'm proud of. And we experienced that yesterday as well. We were gobsmacked by what actually happened yesterday. And that just proved us wrong. So I'm going to give you 5 things that a real man is. And it's something that I've been close friends with this guy for just over 2 years. And I found him at the exact right time in my life. Jesus placed him in my life when I needed someone the most. I influence very easily, but I get influenced a bit easier. I am still young, man. And this guy's been a great mentor to me. I don't like to call him a mentor because he's my brother, and I don't want to give him that lat spread. A real man is something that's consistent. He has a purpose, he has a passion, and he has a love that he pursues. You only need 4 things to be a real man.
You mentioned 5. Add a 5th so the list is complete.
A 5th? Apart from beard cream, man, you must love.
Oh, I love that.
You must love. You must love the boring times. You must love the waiter the same way you love the CEO. you must love the startup just as much as you love the successful. That's what
That
I
is beautiful.
think.
We were driving, a quick example that we were driving one day about a few months ago, and there was a huge opportunity that was in our laps, massive, and it's almost like thanks God, thanks prosperity, and we had almost like a high five God and then run off into the success thing. And so then I went to go and have a big meeting with some big dogs who were letting us down, and we were going to go take them on. And that's Dino. So he was the only guy since South Africa who's played rugby for the Greek national team and a full Dutchie as well.
Oh, to those only listening to the podcast, he's pointing off screen to someone here at Moonshot Café
a Greek god.
that really doesn't look like he can catch a rugby ball.
Old school. So then we were driving back from this. And what is love then? Because it's easy to say that. What is love? Love is love. Love is love. The world loves that. What is love? So we were driving back from this meeting, and Jované's next to me. And he's my light man. I'm the guy who speaks wisdom, and he listens and goes, good word, man. And he flipped the tables. We were driving back, and I was highly offended. I was offended. And with me, my kryptonite is when I'm offended, words are many. You know that thing? And I'm blasting this guy. I'm like, no, we're going to do this. And I'm planning. The Bible says many are the plans of a man's heart. And often I know when I'm about to stuff up, I'm planning too much. I'm like a high five, God, cheers, I got this. And I'm already the next deal. I'm going to start a podcast. And then the boss and Rogan are going to do a show together. Then bang, bang. And we're like, cheers, just do well today. That's that humble thing. So we're in the car. And then this guy just stops in my tracks. He's like, Simon, just shut up. And I'm gutting this guy, gutting this guy's character. And you know what? He probably deserves it. But a friend of weak character and love is love would go, Simon, you are so entitled to that feeling. He's an asshole. And we would have got back to Pretoria and gone, what a good trip. And we would have been bitter assholes. And I would have taken that message that he encouraged me in as he slaped my aster of bitterness. And I would have gone, character, and I would have ruined my name in this industry. I would have been happy for one day of like really stabbing him, and would have gone to Lucky's and had 4 beers, and I would have exacerbated it. And I would have shared, I made a podcast, we're going to make a video against you guys. Oh, good luck in the industry then. But wisdom sometimes comes with a tattoo on his face and he just says, shut up. Didn't call me a holy scripture. He said, we're not going to talk about this guy again. That's not our success, bro. Actually, we're going to bless him. All the best, bro. All the best. And for me, that's the thing is like, and I say like, just to almost contradict what you're saying in the way we're like, love is love. I'm like, but what does love look like? You know? What if my wife says, oh, love is a threesome? Like, okay, well, is that your position? Well, it's not mine. And the biggest thing I think I always like to say to men is like, my whole life, and especially in our Christo, you, me, and Johnny, in the same thing, we're people's people, and we thrive off likes. We thrive off, we're people's men, so we talk to the waitress, we talk to anyone. So we live for, hey, I love you, man. The biggest thing I need my whole life, which he should have got when he was 18, which I should have had a lot in my marriage, is a man going, hey, I flipping love you, man. What are you doing? Stop it. Shut up, Simon. That's the love I need a lot. I need a brother who can say, I hear you, Christian, you should be offended, but I love you. No.
But
wrong.
that bit is earned. I think there's a big disease, especially amongst very outgoing Christian people. Any religious folk who are standing for a cause for that matter, that thinks that just because, let's say, AK found the light and he changed the lifestyle, doesn't immediately earn the right to speak to someone.
But I think accountability is also the thing. Accountability, if you're going to go and sit under a speaker or this or listen to podcasts, you've requested accountability.
Exactly.
But with one-on-one friendships, which I'm all about, I'm not about the whole, I'd rather do this than speak to 5,000 people because I can articulate, we can chat, we can go, whoa, stop there, we can have a Coke and we digress. So my biggest thing is like accountability, and people get offended by church or by the Freemasons or the Lions Club of Pretoria or whatever it is. We get offended and we're not part of that cool clique anymore. They didn't invite me back for a show. But the thing is this, accountability is pursued. And that's the thing. We want the pastor to come in. He didn't see me when my mum died. They weren't there at our funeral. I've had that. Guys, I'm the worst.
They end up judging God by people or church by actions.
If you want to say, if you want to see me, you pursue accountability. The doctor doesn't pursue me saying, "How's your temperature today, Simon?" I'm like, "Oh, my stomach is dying. Can I come?"
Let the sick go to the hospital, basically.
That's it, man.
Now, I've got just a quick thing for you two before we end off with the quick fire funny thing. And a couple of things that you guys mentioned now that I just want to highlight and then hear your opinion on. So far, what I gather is that, let's call it being a man is much more an internal decision. It is being yourself, being all of yourself on the inside and then living according to the principles that you decide to be who you are.
Yeah.
Secondly, it is about finding accountability in others that have walked a similar journey or can guide you on yours. And thirdly, it is about being honest about what your failures are in life. Now, bringing that together from what I've picked up out of what you guys said, what advice would you give to someone listening to this podcast now that might be a dude that's trapped in his own mind? Because not everyone is, outwardly, I'm going to use the word failing at life, cocking up around every corner, ending up in jail, or, perhaps needing this big convertive story. I think there's a lot of guys that are trapped inside their mind with negative thoughts, with bad self-esteem, with lack of self-confidence, with someone that might not even think of themselves worthy of being helped because, go and help someone that ended up in prison. Go and help someone that they are deserving of being loved and helped. I am just sitting here with my tie in my office and I just can't handle the depression because my wife might not have smiled at me this morning, but I can't have someone to speak to. Can you give some advice to someone that just needs to reach out and find a brother?
For sure, man. So like what Jované alluded to earlier, in lockdown, when he was in jail, we were on the lawn. 2 different prisons, huh? And while he was chilling, it's so funny, the only thing is now, we were so like Depro going, oh, we have to entertain kids for the next 12 hours. He had to go and flip and taste old underpants for fish. Different battles. And at the time, you think, this is the worst battle I'm in. Really? Let me show you Mampuru. But then again, he's saying that he could have been in a cancer ward. Show me a different heart. We could be in Somalia. We could be in a war zone. Who knows? So everyone's heart is your heart. Like, don't judge your heart. And then secondly, like we were sitting on the lawn while he was languishing in jail. And my brother in Cape Town, he messaged us and just ran me one day and he said such a cool thing. And it's not amazing, but it is powerful. He said, the boring is glorious. Boring is beautiful. And it's so true. It's like, you can be, and then his premise was, we're sitting there and the kids are irritating us, we're clock timing, we're thinking, can we give them 2 scoops of panado now, let's run the bath at 3 o'clock and force them to bath an hour, then they can dorse and we can chill, and drink pineapple beer. And like 2 days later or 4 months later, we had work and life is open and we're looking back at those photos and you have a boring day and you look back at the holiday you had on a lazy Monday afternoon and nothing was happening. You look at the photo of you and that chick and you're like, oh, your sister's beautiful. Or I look at that same photo and the kids had just had a tantrum, but all of a sudden I've got this rose tint to look at. I'm like, yes, I got a beautiful family. And you say, hey baby, remember this. Suddenly the boring is glorious. There is never a highlights package. We are just playing test match. And being in the moment, for it may be our last, if it's in the moment you say help, say help. And that's what I think from that. I always wait for a Sunday. I wait for an opportune moment. Just say help. And and to find those sort of people in maybe a church, I'm definitely not punching it for everyone. For a long time we did well with our church. We focused on ourselves. There's a lot worst thing we could have done was go to church. We got lost in people and high-fiving and helping and it was the worst thing for marriage. We got whole and we went back. And now we come and go and we go home and we love each other. But to say help to someone you can be real with, and it's such an easy litmus test. Just sit down a couple of good friends and spot people whose characters you like and whose habits you enjoy, and just say, dude, I'll buy you a coffee. Help. And can we do this every week? If I live in a garage, it doesn't make me a car. I can go into the Planet Fitness every day. I won't come with a 6-pack. It's what you do consistently. Simon Sinek says that famous thing, when do you get a 6-pack? After day 1, after a hard gym session, we all come home and flex in the mirror secretly? Nothing. Day 2, 3, 4, nothing. Somewhere between week 3 and 4, someone's going to go, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? Same thing with your character. Consist what you spend time with, you'll become. If you work on your when Sipo cuts you off in traffic and you go and you hold your tongue for 3 weeks, someone in the office will go, dude, what's up with you, bro? You speak a bit slower. Why? Because I'm a man of many words. My wife, who's a great psychologist, always says the sign of maturity is the gap between stimulus and response. And the more immature I am, the more I am prone to go, some whack comments in traffic.
Those knee-jerk reactions that you want to give in the moment.
And it's 3, 2, 1. And what's the gap? For me, it's Holy Spirit. For me, it's good friends. For me, it's taking time before I send the email. Lengthen your gap. Be the last to speak. Listen. And where I used to speak quick, basic wisdom, but nonsense was not far behind.
I still speak quick because I host a podcast. It's part
you
of the parcel.
You have to.
I just quickly want to get to AK for this. What would your advice be? To take that step to find someone that you can relate to, someone that you can open up to, and, be vulnerable to. If you're a brother that's in need, if you're sitting with negativity in your mind and you don't feel there's someone that's going to listen.
It would have been great to live life backwards, wouldn't it? Because in the end, we would have all the answers.
Absolutely.
But who has all the answers? And I'm going to bash the Bible hard here now about God, man. So what my advice is, find God. Take a step, man. That step doesn't have to be forward, man. Doesn't have to be sideways. Definitely not backwards, man. Just take a step. If you just take a step of obedience, man, you'll see how your life changes. I've done it. I'm going to give you an example, man. When your wife calls you and she says, hey, my stomach is cramping, I think I'm pooing my guts out, you're not going to go to the mechanic for advice. Right?
I can just imagine that for a second.
When your child has a sore throat, man, you're not going to go to King Price for advice or to Moonshot, right? When your iPhone breaks, where do you take it? You take it to iStore. When your Samsung breaks, where do you take it? To Samsung Store. So when you break down, when you are in that position that you're talking about now, where do you go? You must go to your maker because he knows how to fix you. No one else can help you. Nothing I say to you now can help you. No advice I can give you can make you take that first step but you. Have a relationship and talk to your maker. Just like iStore, man. You're not going to trust your Pocky with iPhone 15 Pro Max. Right?
Is that racist? I don't know.
I would have told you a funny joke now, but just to get back to the serious point, man. It would have been great to live life backwards because then we would have had a breeze. But there's one person that has all the answers. If you sit at a millionaire's table, everyone's driving Bentleys and Ferraris, please tell me you're not the person that's not going to ask them how they did that, how they bought that yacht. I'm that person. I don't have pride in that. Well, I'll ask you, how did you get that right? If you have a textbook here of how to do life and how to live a happy life, why don't you follow it? Don't be stuck in that place, man. Take a step. If it's hard to step forward, step sideways. Just take a step, man. Take a step of obedience. Sooner or later, there you are, exactly where you want to be. Yeah, where I'm sitting now, exactly where I want to be.
Well, I mean, you gave us a lot to mull over. My personal feeling on it all is still it doesn't mean much. For the simple reason that you're just going to pack off on another church group and you're not making a positive change in your own mindset. If you simply go and say, let go and let God, I think it creates a lazy breed of man, to be honest. I don't think we adequately address mental health issues by simply saying, go to a church group. I think it takes a bit more of a mindset change.
I think that's what Johnny's saying is like, to put it in a nutshell, it's a decision. So I can sign the form for Planet Fitness, but if I go, I don't have to go. Nothing happens. And the big thing is, I think, is that people love to gun faith of any sort by the ambiguity that we have, because you and I specifically have been in the church for a long time and hurt by the church or offended at it or doesn't mean much. So for my big one, I always give an example to make it practical. For years, I over understood the word faith. Very cutesy, very airy-fairy. Faith and hope are the most cute, fragile words ever because we've overused it and we say it so liberally. Like love is love, but what does that mean? What does it mean to you?
Faith, hope, love, and peace.
That's it. Put on a kitchen wall, everything. So then there's one guy, Jay, the hardcore guy who doesn't stroke backs, he grips collars. He and I used to have a thing called like a live wire session. So there's no, hey bro, how's the business? Like, how's your wife? How's porn? What's going on? Can I see your phone? What's going on? And so he said something so cool, man. He's like, Simon, you don't understand the word faith. He said, you speak Christianese. All these words, you become used to it. It's all lost its power, bro. You don't understand the power of the Constitution. I said, give me an example. Slightly offended, which means there was truth. And I said, for example, he said, Joe, you said faith very liberally. Just have faith, bro. Like what you say now. You do tell a man, an atheist man with a gun in his head, have faith. What does that mean? Can I eat that, bro? And he said, Simon, I believe you think that faith, and half the population who doesn't come to a church or believe in a God thinks that it means if I'm a really good guy, and I don't smoke Zoll, and I don't go to the Joel, and I don't do this, and I don't have a racist thing when I have a load shedding hits us. If I do it for a week and I listen to Hill songs and I read 23rd Psalm backwards and in Hebrew, like, then I'm going to qualify. But I can't do that. I can't make it, so I'm not going to try, bro. Stuff that. Let the party rock on. And he said, and I'm like, yeah. He said, so you think if you really close your eyes and you really pray hard, that's faith? I said, yeah, maybe that is. To be honest, he goes, that's magic. That's Harry Potter. And I said, okay, he said, so let's be contextual. If it's a real book, go to the real start. What is the Greek root word of faith? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, look, game changer. Here comes the mic drop. Obedience. In any other forum, it works. Do you want a six-pack? I've got faith for a six-pack, Simon. Okay, then say cheers to burgers. Yeah, I've got a guy said the other day, I've got so much faith to give up drinking. When's your next party? It's my brother's 40th. Don't go. No, you don't understand. Well, you got faith for it. Show me. What they're saying in Texas is the show me state. Don't tell me, show me. And it's that thing of it takes principles. In any other forum, except for faith, we like to say, you got a financial advisor, give me 100K. Give me this. Please have my son at school. Give us school fees. Take a step. A gym says, a trainer will say, do a sit-up, bro. But when it comes to our emotions, we go, lies is fair. Anything goes. But in every other thing, in the law, the constitution, the driving limit on our country, there is a black and white, except for when it comes to our emotions. So I say it's actually quite it's a violent thing. You have to know, I have a problem. And if a guy out there is struggling right now and you're on your deathbed, your wife has left you, you're in the grip of an alcoholic addiction, you've got to own it, and you've got to say I have a problem. We can't fix what we don't own up to, man. And if you're totally fine, then don't worry. Then all the best. But if you're sitting there and there's that, I know that depression, man. When I explain it to men, they're like, oh, I know that. I'm driving on the road, I clench my jaw, anxiety. Christo, I used to mock depression and I used to mock anxiety. When people they'd tell me, and it would be fakely empathetic and go, oh man, but in my head I was going, just be happy, bro. Just be happy, until I got it.
Just fake it till you smile van self, you know?
And you're like, and then suddenly the whole, like you said, mental health and that sort of wisdom came up, and then I got it, man. I sat there going, be happy, Simon. I'm depressed as a rat a few years ago, man. Anxiety in the car, I couldn't even think straight. And suddenly I got it, and then I walked a path through it, and now I've got empathy. When people say it, I'm like, whoa, that is worse than heroin, bro. I know that place. Nothing shakes it. I took every kind of flipping drug and this, and it's like, it made it worse, dude. And did the peace of God come immediately? No, not always. When I had something to pursue, a purpose of it, and people, man, God is not just this airy fairy. It's through us, man. He's living and pumping and we don't sit every day and pray in tongues, bro. Do we talk about Joel and this and poo and that and this and the knuckle dusty one's head and the uppercut? Yes, we do. We Joel, bro. Jesus walked. I think he was the most sarcastic, funny guy ever, because I love that as well. I love getting like shots. So we've got this thing of this is a status, and I can't achieve it. He's real, man. Just help. Or else find people who can do it. Actually, real men who can help you. You'll pay bucks for it. Otherwise, good friendships. And then my big thing is just he meets us at our point of honesty. How?
So what was that?
He meets us at our point of honesty. Just the big help, man. And beyond that, my direct advice, just help.
Okay. Well, so from what I pick up, what you put down, it is, throwing right back to the start with what AK said, about the difference between, it was you, I think, that said, relationship versus religion, taking it all the way through to what Simon ended off with now. I think the one thing that I can pick up with what you two guys are saying is you will not make a change in your life if you don't make a change in your mindset regarding life. You know what? Whether it is finding that in a moment of sadness, desperation, or a moment of sheer elation and joy, nothing will change in your physical if you don't change it in your inside first.
Yeah.
But firstly, thank you guys for sharing. I think it has been amazing chat. However, there's a big physical that we do need to get to, and this is how I want to end off the Baascast today. You two guys are huge. I'm not being skeptical or weird if I say you probably gym more than I do. Firstly, because I don't gym at all. I hate it. I hate the smell. I hate I came to your garage. That was different. But for gyms, I hate everything about it. I hate the smell. I hate the music. I hate the sounds. I hate the place. I hate the premise. I hate the people. I hate fucking everything about. I would rather die fat and happy than ever put my foot into a gym. However, what you two physically achieve is admirable and huge. So we're going to get really childish about it now.
Come on.
I am going to. Have you ever been to a wedding where they played the shoe game? Shall I explain?
I don't even know what that is. I haven't been to a wedding. I think my age group is still getting there.
Would you mind removing your shoes?
Yeah.
Just a general question. Are you okay with removing your shoes?
Yeah.
So if you can take off your shoes, how this works, usually at a wedding, because you two are so close, you brothers, you besties, right? The bride and groom would sit with their backs to each other, everyone looking at them, and the MC, which in my case doing wedding MCs, punting there for a service, I would be asking questions, something like who's the first to get up in the morning, or something like that. And AK, if you think Simon fits the answer to that, you raise his shoe into the air, right? If you think it's you raise your own shoe. So you each give each other one of your shoes. And I'm not going to put you back to back. There's no space for the two of you on this couch to do that. And it's going to just be funnier to see your reactions as you raise it. So you can sit, you can put the mic down now for if you want. But turn to the video, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be the shoe game featuring AK and Simon. And it's going to get a little bit awkward for the next 2 minutes that we do it, because I might ask questions that you don't even know about yourselves. Maybe. I don't know yet. So just to recap, I say a thing, and if you think it's your own, you own up to it. You put your own shoe in the air. Just quickly show the camera. What does Simon's shoes look like? What? Which one's the Simon shoe? Oh, you need both shoes off because you need one shoe of each in your hands. So Simon has got the black All-Stars, and AK has got the white, what was it? Dickies. So he's got the All-Stars and the Dickies. With the brand mentions. I just got some Docs. I just want to say, I bought them yesterday. Docs, Dickies, and All-Stars.
Swap one like that.
Yeah. So quickly raise the Simon shoe. If I say, okay, let's say, whose name is Simon?
Got it, man. Black.
Great. And whose name is AK?
Come on.
All right, cool. So I'm just going to start with it, and you raise the shoe, show to the camera the one that you think fits. Between the two of you, who can bench press the most?
Standard, bro.
Who would you reckon can run a marathon the fastest? Who would own up first to being an asshole if they were an asshole?
No. Disagree, bro.
Who do you reckon would make the best impression on future in-laws? I mean, you're already married, but if you had to recharge.
Definitely not. Come on, bro. Come on.
Who would you say can honestly, well, this is going to get so bad. Who would you say can hold their pee the longest?
How long have we been having a pod? Okay, I think me, yeah.
Because I've been holding it for an hour and 20. I've been holding it, man. We are an hour and a half in.
Who's got the best beard?
Oh,
no. I'm jealous of Jované. Really,
You know, I just want to add this there to everyone that's viewing here. If you want to have a 10 out of 10 beard, you have to have the moustache beard combo. Me, myself, I'm still getting there, and that's why I'm giving it to Simon. I don't have the moustache beard combo,
I have
man.
to agree with you. Simon takes this one.
Yeah. You have to round the mond, huh?
Who will win arm wrestling? Are you serious? All right. And then second last question, right? Who would win in a fight between the two of you?
I won't fight. I won't fight. We'll hug it out, bro.
No one can hear what you say. They just think you're sounding very weird.
I'll be honest with you on that one, man. I put my shoes down because I don't want to get emotional, man, but I think someone will punch me and I won't punch back, huh? No, I won't.
And that is my next and last question about being manly men. Last question for the shoes. Who here, upon hearing something that triggers this emotion, is most likely to cry first?
We're both criers, and I've seen tears roll. I've got voice notes of crying, bro.
So there's no shame in a dude shedding a tear.
We love it, bro. Bring it, bro. We have crying circles after Pilates and veganism sessions. We go to crying circles.
There's one joke I have to end off with because I thought of it earlier and I just have to mention it to you. You know what? There is something to be said for a person's level of commitment when they've got facial tattoos. Which is to me strange that not more people in churches have facial tattoos because churches are all about commitment. So I think we should start a movement. You can't go to church if you don't get a facial tattoo.
That's, you know, I'm a serious guy. What can I say? You don't get as serious as blasting your face with ink.
That's a commitment, mate.
I just want to, one suggestion I would do is don't do something stupid, man. I guess all face tattoos are borderline stupid, but at least mine stand for something that I'm proud of. You don't want to get a blessed or something mainstream. And this is another one I want to give advice to anyone that is thinking about getting a tattoo. Don't get tattoos that are popular because that whole phase passes. I don't know if you guys remember that. The phase that there was where the guys put the forests on their arms.
Oh, yes.
That was a phase.
The tribals that you had to get.
The tribals. Don't get a tattoo that's popular at the moment, man, because that phase will pass and then you get seen as, you know, the Kyle from Monster Kyle.
Yeah.
You don't want to be Monster Kyle. You know what I'm talking about.
And on that point, any last closing thoughts? Because I'm just going to take that as your finishing wisdom. One sentence of wisdom from Simon Phillips.
Man, dude, just thanks for having us, brother. And I love this. Like I said, authenticity is everything, and we can debate and we can wrestle, but there'll be nothing would have been achieved from today if we had all gone kumbaya. And the funny thing is, we have the same thoughts on this and commitment and marriage and life and everything and living as good people, and that's all cute. But like I said, friends, 2 o'clock tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock on a Friday night when you're hammered and you're about to cheat on your wife or you want to blow your head out, find friends, find honesty, find God. And that's where the segue comes. But thanks for having us, brother. And we've got a cooler bag for you.
Oh, sweet.
I want to thank you, man. You know, you're very easy to talk to.
Thank you.
I want to salute you for that. Like you said, it was my first time meeting you, man. And me and my brother, we are in partnership with this Vaanfield and Maritz. They don't only like you, man. They're a jack of all trades. They buy, sell, you talk, and can get talked to, man. I want to salute you for that. And we want to give you this, man. It's a cooler bag. I don't know if it's a perfect gift because you can't really get cooler than you really are.
I was about to say the same thing about you guys. Literally.
Here you go, man.
Yo, what an honor and more realness, man. Let's make this
Absolutely.
a forum. We'll get these guys involved. We sit around the couch and debate, man. And I love it. Just share hearts, man.
Thank you so much for a cooler bag. What's the name there? Vaanfield. Vaanfield and Maritz. I don't know what they do. What do they do?
Cars.
Car
dealership,
sell their
yeah.
cars? Do they fix cars? What do they do?
No, sell
Give
cars.
them a quick punt on the podcast, geez.
So they buy and sell. But the big one thing for me, there are many dealerships out there. There are a lot of good guys. But you won't get lost in the system. If you have a problem at 2 a.m, they'll answer. If there's an oil leak after you buy a second-hand car, they'll own up.
That is a wild,
Integrity.com,
that is
bro.
a wild promise. So thank you for the cooler bag. And I just want to end off by saying you guys are legit. The fact that one can talk to, Christians specifically that don't go about, oh, you offended me about things. I'm fine with that. Anytime you want to have another motivational session or a chat, come to me in a couple of podcasts. We talk again. And thanks so much for joining.
All right, man.
And from my side, guys, thank you so much again for watching. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to click buttons and share things, thumbs ups and all the cool stuff. It is your sharing that makes this podcast grow. And just as a last thought from my side, if you're struggling with any cooked up thoughts in your mind about not liking yourself enough to stick around, please get in touch, whether it's with me or whether it's with one of these beautiful gentlemen, whether it's a helpline. Don't take a shotgun, take a shot at hope and love and peace and faith. Away. Have a good one.
Powerful, man. Wow,
Cheers.
dude.
Thank you for listening to this Baascast, and thank you so much Audio Torch for sponsoring the camera gear.